back to the channel. It's been a rough day. Had a pipe problem, twisted my knee, so I'm just here. It's cold, it's nasty outside, so it's a perfect day to make up some homemade chicken soup. Well, partially, I'm using some stock, but got some celery and onions sauteing here. Chicken's in the oven right now, and then I'll give it a little bit of a fry. Like I said, it's cold, wet, it's nasty outside, so this is a good day for chicken soup. Alright, got my broth in there, stock, whichever you want to call it. And I did cook it a little bit with some of these spices, but then I'll put more into the broth to give it more flavor. It's just a little bit of oregano. Or if you have Italian seasoning, that works too. But I'm fresh out, so a little bit of parsley. Some basil. I don't really measure anything. Been cooking long enough, I pretty much know how many shakes makes it taste good. Some smoked paprika for a little bit of a smoky flavor. And a little bit of heat. Not a lot. Of course, I use garlic powder in just about everything, or fresh garlic. A little bit of onion powder. Some Himalayan pink salt. Not a lot. I already cooked the vegetables in a little bit of that fresh cracked black pepper. And of course, a couple of bay leaves. Definitely different than anything else really I've put on my channel. Well, I do have the salmon cooking and camping cooking, so I guess this works. Alright, well, my chicken's done, and I know my head's partially cut off. That's okay. Hot, hot, hot. This is really hot. all the same. It's all the same spices I put on the chicken except for the paprika. Hot. Take a minute to mention there won't be any noodles in this chicken soup because my wife is on a keto diet and she can't have those, as well as I usually put corn or carrots in here. So this is kind of a keto friendly version here. I don't know why I'm bothering showing you cutting up the chicken. I didn't show you me cutting up the vegetables. Really wish there was smell-o-vision here. Get this back on and simmering. This is just one of the ways that I make chicken soup. I make a lot of homemade soups throughout the winter. Beef soup. I used to do bean and ham, but keto, so can't really do the beans. I do a lot of chilies. And that is chicken soup. Alright, it's been simmering now for about 20 minutes. Oh, and UPS is bringing my new knife. That's good. Turn it off. Now, whenever my wife wants to eat, she can heat it up. And that's also her lunches for the rest of the week, so there you go. Busted water pipe, twisted knee, crappy weather, you make soup. And you get a new knife delivered. Baked you. Never done this either, so might as well do an unboxing. to be careful, make sure my wife stays in there because she's got a Christmas present in here. Ferro rods. Like the little shorties, nice bright handles. So if you drop it, hopefully you can still see it. And it might be backwards, I don't know. I'm really just kind of making this a video because it's been a bad day and I'm kind of bored. So I'm doing an unboxing and cooking soup. And there will be a beer and a chat to go with this too. Oh yeah, they weren't kidding when they said that bad boy stays in there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to either make a sheath or rig something up so I can push that out. Plus this won't fit on my my Alice belt. It's just the way the tip was polished. It looked like it was bent for a minute, but it's not. No, I don't have a piece of paper handy. But cold steel is known for sharp knives. Yeah, so here we go. Little added bonus footage right there. And honestly, unless it was a new rifle, you won't probably ever see me do an unboxing again. But what the hell? All right. So here's the beer and a jap part. I had a nice bowl of soup. Like I said, hasn't been a good day. A little bit of a leak in some water pipe, an elbow cracked. And in the process, we had some really nasty, wet, sappy snow. In the process of trying to get outside to turn the main water off, I slipped and I twisted my knee. So, but hey, I made chicken soup, so it's all good. So here's my beer. I really haven't been drinking a lot of the IPAs, but this one's not bad. The store I went to, it was either this or some really nasty stuff. I prefer my Voodoo Ranger, but that store didn't have it anyway. Enough about that. So I think this chat's going to be a little bit about knives and ferro rods. And yes, I should be doing this outside to explain it more, but with it being crappy outside and with a little bit of a bum knee, I don't feel like being outside. Sorry. That's okay. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the unboxing. I know I'm going to like and get a lot of use out of this knife. I'm not sure what to do about the sheath. Maybe I might have to make one. I do not like how much effort it takes to get this knife out. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I hate this sheath. I just, it's very, very tight in there, and maybe it'll loosen up over time. And we'll see. I kind of expected the blade to be a little bit thicker. My Camilla's titanium and my Cold Steel SRK have really hefty blades on them. But I still think that this will get the job done as far as if I want a feather stick or anything. Probably would be able to baton. I'm not doing a review on this knife. I really don't do reviews. Right now I'm just talking about out of the box impressions. It's certainly cold steel sharp. And anyway, what I wanted to talk about with knives is I've seen a lot of people talking these days about bushcrafters and backcountry campers, woodsmen, whatever you want to call yourself. I just like to call myself an outdoorsman because I like doing some of the skill set that's involved with bushcraft. I have some medical problems that keep me from sleeping on the ground, so I have to use a tent and a cot. But I still get out there. I also hunt, I fish, I hike. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into one word that describes me. I'm an outdoors person. That's it. That covers everything. Anyway, to get back on point, I was recently watching a video from a pretty popular bushcraft survivalist type of guy, and said that really you're only using the first couple inches of your blade. Now I disagree with that, because being the fact that I do hunt and fish, I might only be using this if I was trying to carve or feather stick or anything like that because of the action. But if I'm trying to skin game, especially squirrels, I'm only going to be using a very little bit of this tip. And this little area that's curved, you're going to use that if you're trying to gut a deer, because when you put your knife in there and start working its way up through, you're not going deeper than your fingers, so you're not using down here, you're using just the tip of the knife, more or less. Like I said, especially with squirrels, where you're more or less, you don't really use your fingers like that, but you're barely using the tip of your knife. So for me, every inch of this blade will get used. And that's just my theory on that. When I buy knives, I mean, my Cold Steel SRK is more or less my, if I want a baton, I want a knife that I know is going to get the job done. Handle's not going to break, and it's not going to curl up and stuff on me. But overall, for me, hunting, this might be a little long if you're trying to reach up inside, to take care of the esophagus. And even if, I'm just going to have to say it the way it happens. If you kill a deer or deer type game, when you're trying to gut them, you have to basically do what they call a butt out. You're not like going hilt deep. You're only going a little bit. You're only using a little bit of the tip of that blade to go around. Would this knife be the most ideal for processing game? I don't know yet. Time will tell. Alright, that's enough on that. Except the sheath. Cold steel. If you ever watch this, loosen that sheath up, man. This is a nasty, nasty cut waiting to happen. I love the knife. I like the design, but I don't want to slice a finger off. Alright, another sip. Let's talk about ferro rods for a minute. They come in all shapes, sizes, sorts, and dimensions. at some point before the spring, when I really start getting back out there more, I am going to buy one of them monster, the big ones, the like 6-inch by a ½ inch or 9/16. But what I have now that I use, and I've had this one for a while, it's just a little tiny thing, and it gets the job done. The knife set it came with, the knives will not work for this, but this will get the job done. I really wouldn't want to use this if it was really nasty wet conditions, because you're not going to be throwing a whole lot of sparks. But if you're trying to light up some fat wood or some jute twine, or even maybe some man-made tinder like charcloth or something, this will work. You know, it'll get the job done for that situation. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about strikers. This one's actually my wife's. I have 3 of these. And what they are is, this area is actually the ferro rod, and the rest of it's just magnesium, so you can scrape off of there. They're good and long. They're 3¼ inches. And it's the one I have has pretty much been my go-to for the fires I've made over the summer for camping or whatever. It's an Ozark Trail brand. It works. It's got some length, and it does throw some pretty good sparks for being an Ozark Trail model. And I'm not trying to cut down any company. It's just, you know, we got these with knives for $10. So for it to function the way it does, I was actually pretty impressed. Not to mention, anybody who watched my week trip about the Adirondacks, the last fire I made that I used the ferro rod to get the fire going for the wood stove, this is the ferro rod I used. And I didn't use fat wood, I didn't use any magnesium, nothing. That was just hardwood that I made shavings out of and got it going. It took a little bit of more effort, you know, faster to get the spark and make sure the wood took, but it worked. Proof is in the pudding. Go watch the video. And these are the ones that I've recently purchased. I like these. They're a little bit shorter than the last one I showed, really only 3 inches. But you're gonna get a good amount of sparks coming off of this, and that's what you want, especially if you're looking at, you know, wetter conditions. And I need to get out there and get some practice in doing that. But like I said, I'm just making this, it's a beer and a chat. I'm just chatting with you people. This will throw off a good amount of sparks, and should, you know, even in some nasty conditions, should get you a fire going. Not everything always works the way you want it. You know, wet wood, you know, if it's pouring rain or something like that, it's going to be a little trickier. Then you got to take care of your tinder. You got to work your wood a little more. And, you know, that's a finesse thing, you know. But that's kind of really it for ferro rods. They work, and for a while I was really starting to get into, I still want to do it. I want to get to learn how to do flint and steel more, and be able to do it better and with more I can't think, consistency. But I've always liked ferro rod. I got out of using them for some time, and I really like them. They are a really good go-to fire starter. And now I'm gonna bleed into why I prefer these over a lot of other ways. If you're really in a messed up situation, a Bic lighter can break. You can drop it and accidentally step on it. If you accidentally somehow break one of these, as long as it's not, well, even if it was one of these little tiny things, you could still be able to get a spark. Alright, that's enough on that. Now the other thing, I'm not a big fan of the strikers. You know, those little tiny things, or even like the 3 or 4 inch things. I've always liked using my knife to get sparks off a ferro rod. I get more leverage. I can get better sparks that way, and that's the reason why if I buy a knife and it comes and it does not have a really good sharp spine, I'll take a file and file it down and make that back edge sharp. I'm talking a knife that I'm going to be, you know, using in a situation where I might be, you know, lost or turned around. I just like the fact that the spine of a knife, for me personally, like I said, this is all just my opinions on things that I've learned over the years and what's worked the best for me. I like using my knife. I get, like I said, I just get better. I get a better hold. I get a better grip, and I just get more sparks. When you're in bad conditions, you don't want dinky little sparks. You need a shower of sparks, and a knife will give you that edge where, I'll slide back here, where you're not scraping down the fire rod so much, or the ferro rod so much, to try to get your sparks, as you're holding the knife stationary and then pulling back to try to get the most effective amount of sparks. You know, there's different techniques for everything, and now that I've gotten back into doing this stuff, the fire I started at the camp was more or less, you know, but more or less, if you've seen all the other fires I've made, I kind of like try to hold the blade steady and then pull back to get my sparks. Sometimes I'll do it this way, but for the most part I'm really trying to keep my hand steady, and sometimes I'll even do both. You know, it just depends on situation, circumstance, and what you're comfortable with and what you enjoy doing, because you know what, nobody should ever tell you you're doing something wrong unless you're really doing it wrong and you're getting 0 results, period. You know, I'm of the ilk that as long as you're getting outside and trying and you're succeeding, then just keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, all my brothers and sisters that love the outdoors, just do what you do. So, I don't know if any of that made sense. I don't script things, I don't write things out, I don't put little post-it notes on the trees when I'm in the woods or on my computer. I just shoot from the heart, shoot from the hip, and just say what comes to mind as I'm talking. And yeah, I'm a little nasally, I got a cold. Anyway. So yeah, so I made good today. A little bit of a rough start with the pipe in my knee, but made some chicken soup. New knife came today. A few new ferro rods. And I'm having a beer. I'm still here talking to you, so that makes it a good day. Alright, I think I've yacked enough. Thanks for watching.